Oh, it's a good treat. Do you want another one? You're having too many. Oh, here's a go. Well, welcome to a new Harry's Farm video, and in this one there's lots to discuss, including solar panels. Yes, they've finally been fitted on the farm. The oilseed rape, has it actually come through the ground? What are we growing for harvest 23? The wheat's in the shed there, the seed and stuff. But kicking off with the solar panels, there they all are. Yeah, invisible to see, but 18 kilowatts of panels were fitted last week. And I signed up to have it done. I started from the beginning. I investigated it about November time last year. And because the prices of solar panels have dropped dramatically, and with the signs of electricity, you know, the price just ballooning, I thought, well, it's well worth having another look at this. Then they came out and did the survey, and they were concerned that I had the fibre sort of roof panels rather than a metal roof. And that sort of stalled it for a bit, but there is a system you can use, it turns out, to put it onto normal fibre roofs like we've got here. It's just slightly more expensive, but not by much. I signed the contract at the end of April. Then the supply issues, just like hitting everything it seems in manufacturing. There was a particular clip that just holds the solar panels onto these rail system that just wouldn't arrive. It finally arrived a week or so ago, and Home Eco Energy came down and set up the rails on the roof. I couldn't believe how quick the process was, because then on the Tuesday the electricians arrived and it was all plumbed in. So just 2 days to install, and it's been in a week, and it's been very interesting to see its output. And what I've discovered, if you get a day like this cloudy, you're getting nowhere near that 18 kilowatt potential peak. I think it's running, what is it, just after 10 o'clock in the morning. It's around 3 kilowatts about this. It seems if you get a cloudy day, just think of it as half what you'd get on a sunny day. The peak I've actually seen is 15 kilowatts. I haven't actually seen the 18 kilowatt peak potential output, but you need the sun, summer sun, right above it, directly onto the panels, and then you see 18 kilowatts. So that's the first thing to consider when you put this sort of system in. So out of the 18 kilowatt peak, on the farm we use at peak, I've noticed, around 8 or 9 kilowatts, absolute peak, total consumption. So the rest will leach down and you'll get a feed-in tariff. Being a business consumer, the feed-in tariffs are better than domestic rates, so between 10 and 15 pence per unit. But basically you want to be consuming electricity if at all possible. Cost of insulation these days, well, work on around 1,000 per kilowatt you're actually installing. It's about 1,000 to 1,100 pounds, so dramatically cheaper than it was 10 years ago. I'd say that's less than half the price. And yeah, lots of you be asking, well, what about payback and that sort of thing? I don't think it really matters on the payback. It just feels the right thing to do. What I like about solar is it's a 20-25 year life. I put that turbine in, that was 2007. The trouble with the turbine is very variable, the amount of power you get from it, and there is a maintenance issue because it needs servicing and bearings, greasing, etc. Another thing I've learnt since putting this in, you can only fit it basically for one, where your meter is, it goes just after the meter is where the power from the solar panel comes in. We've got 3-phase here. The first thing you have to find out is to write to your DNO, your district network operator, to request how much power is it okay for me to put in on my farm or at your house or whatever. You're basically allowed 4 kilowatts for a single phase installation. If you have a single phase domestic situation, you can put in 4 kilowatts of solar panels. If you have 3 phases, we have on the farm, 12 kilowatts you're allowed. But to go beyond that, we still have to ask permission. And when we asked permission here, they allowed us 30 kilowatts peak to install here, which is really good. And one of the things I might do in the future is the roof looking that way, to actually get really good all-day power production, it'd be good to have another roof at a different angle, and therefore the sun passes that, so you'll get a peak from that roof and then a second peak from this roof as the sun moves around. Just things to consider. But I can't like power the cottages up there because that's got a separate supply, it's got a meter there, so I would have to cut off that cottage supply and reroute it from the farm supply to make that cottage be able to use the power that this roof is going to generate. Come have a look inside. You just see the workings on the wall. So there's this one wire coming off the roof, you saw just there. That's where the power from the solar panels. Forget that tangle there, that's from another installation. But this is where it then comes into. It comes down those wires are actually coming from the panels, DC, going in there, and it turns into alternating current. So this is the inverter, as it's termed. Yeah, it's generating 3.6 kilowatts, 3,610 watts on there. And then you can see on this meter how much we've generated so far. So 371 units of electricity. It seems to be averaging between 60 and 70 units a day. So over the year, I'm hoping to get around 22,000 kilowatt hours from this. So that would power a lot of the things we do on the farm. But you've got to obviously have this peak in the summer. So you need a way of using that electricity to make the absolute most of the solar. So like at the house, we've got a heat pump that heats the swimming pool, that sort of thing. That's going to be absolutely perfect, solar panels for that. But on the farm and the dehumidifiers and the fans, we're not going to get a lot of power during the winter months. And there is thought that you put a battery within the system to store it, and then you can offload it, during the night, pull it from the battery. But batteries are very expensive. They haven't dropped anything like the solar panels, and supply is really tricky. So I've ignored the battery for the moment because I don't think this is the right time to be investing in a battery to back this system up. I'm going to watch how things develop over the next few years and also see how much power this actually produces during the later months in the year, so the winter months. So anyway, that's the solar. The other things just to show you in here, well, this is the seed that has arrived. 2 lots of seed. I've swapped to a dorsum wheat. You can see down there, dorsum wheat is what it says, and I've done Tyrus dress. I liked the Tyrus dress seed dressing that we used last year, and it's a microbe activity that's meant to release a bit of nitrogen and phosphates, potash from the soil. I think it works well. And then we've got something called latitude dress, which is just over here. This is a slightly different seed. It's this seed as well. You can see it's slightly more red stain on it. Latitude, because I've got a lot of second wheat this year, that protects against takel. So that's what that latitude is. So it's quite an expensive year because normally we home save our seed. This variety does well. I've introduced it because it's very good with on disease resistance, so the fungicide should be cheaper and that sort of thing. But anyway, that's the seed. That will go in a few weeks' time. Let's head out, go and have a look at the oilseed rape. Well, this is the oilseed rape that we put in the ground on 2nd and 3rd of September, so about 18 days ago, and it's up. I can see little oilseed rapes everywhere. You see down here, look down here. Here they all are. So this is, you term it, that's cotyledon stage when you like that, and then you get what we term true leaf. So that is known as true leaf stage. Just one there, another one coming there. And this is the cabbage stem flea beetle. This is this really annoying beetle that attacks oilseed rape, that is our worst enemy. You can just see the holes it's sort of eaten on the plants there. There's sort of round holes there. And I've tried to get round that by growing this vigorous hybrid variety of oilseed rape that has more autumn vigour, and it gets up and gets going and grows away from the damage. This is the seed dressing that we're not allowed to use anymore, that used to control cabbage stem flea beetle. So yeah, 18 days growth. For oilseed rape to look like this on the sort of 20th of September makes me slightly nervous, because we're going into autumn. So far it's been warm, it's got good soil temperature, it's all growing, and we'll just see. We have not spent a penny on this since it went in the ground. It just needs to get up going and get some plant cover and be able to go through the winter. So this is this oilseed. This is the second drilled, but we drilled some over a month ago on another farm. Let's go and have a look what's happening up there. Now you're in a field of oilseed rape that we planted weeks ago. I think it was the 17th of August we put this in, because they've just had a little bit of rain and there was rain forecast, and then the rain never came. And this is the field where I've been staring at the ground, praying that the oilseed rape would come up. We've now had 60 over 60 mil of rain. That's why that other oilseed rape came up really well, and why this one, thank goodness, finally came through the ground, even though it was planted 2 weeks before the other field. If you have a look down here, you can see what's going on. So yes, we have lots of oilseed rapes here, and we have a lot of cabbage stem flea beetle damage here, as you can see. This is pretty bad actually, and I'm just relying again on this hybrid variety. It's slightly better here. You always get it worse on headlands. If I actually walked into the field, it wouldn't be quite so bad, but it's a bit of a worry. And we've decided for 22 to not use insecticides to control it. We've come in here, we've actually sprayed off. You can see the sort of stripes. The combine, when it's going through the barley, this is a 6-row barley as well, tiny little seeds. All they want to do is grow. So you can see the stripes of where the combine is going down, out, up and down the field, and it's basically the seed that was rejected by the combine. It's too light to actually make the grain tank, and it's all grown. So you have to control that. So we've been in here. You also see a bit of black grass or sterile brome just growing up as well. So we've been in here with a spray to control all of that, but did not put the insecticide in. And it's a hard choice to make because it's the cheapest spray going, insecticides. It's £2-3 a hectare, but the downside is it kills all insect life. It doesn't just pick out the cabbage stem flea beetle, it will do everything, and it feels uneasy doing it, especially when they reckon there's resistance building up with a flea beetle. It's not actually controlling it anyway, and they're not in the field at the time. So I've just got my fingers crossed that the vigour of this hybrid variety will put it through. That's the thing with oilseed rape. It's the riskiest crop to grow. It drives you nuts all the way through. So we've got all this with this flea beetle, and then we're going to have pigeons over the winter, and then we'll start with where the larvae actually hatch and where they come out. And also we've got price pressure. I've watched the price of oilseed rape go ballooning up in 2022 and come crashing down, but it's still come down to a level which is a good price historically. It's £500 or thereabouts a tonne. Who knows what's happening with Ukraine? There's Putin is saber rattling this morning. What happens? So it's a very high risk crop, oilseed rape. It's the one all farmers pull their hair out all the year through. It's the first one you plant, and we'll see how we go. Over here though, we've just cultivated the oilseed rape from last year, and I'll just show you how that looks. Right, we were out here a couple of days ago. So this is the oilseed rape, and we've been out here with a carrier cultivator, and this is the job it does. Don't worry about all these stalks sticking up, they're fine. That's why oilseed rape did so well in the sort of droughty conditions. It's a great big taproot that goes right down into the ground, and that's good because that's organic matter in the soil. So we've gone through the cultivator like this, and this being a first wheat, we'll probably plant this in a couple of weeks time back into wheat. So this is my key profit for 23 harvest, will be my first wheat, which is the wheat after a break crop, in this case oilseed rape. So there you go, you're up to date now on Harry's farm. Lots going on. Hope you found that solar interesting. I will follow the story of solar as we go through the winter months, see how much power we actually get from it, and see if this oilseed rape really comes to something over there. Will it be a crop I'll be harvesting in 23? I really hope so. Thanks for watching. More videos coming on very soon.